Hi, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. And this is Tristan. He's a Corgi, and we're here for another episode, I think it's 130, of Conversations with a Corgi. And today we're going to finish some of our discussions about tuning forks and how you can use them for the health and well-beings of your pets. Today, the group of forks that we're going to talk about is a set of 8, and the Biosonics company calls these the Solar Harmonic set. I use them a lot for working with the chakras, and I have used them quite a bit actually for other things as well, just to balance the entire body out after a session or to start a session with an animal that's had really terrible physical trauma, for instance. So this is a set of 8 forks, and it includes what we already talked about, the body tuners C and G. And this is what they look like. They're not weighted. There's no little balls on the end. And the C is this one, and the G is in the middle of the pack. So, in fact, they are kind enough to offer a set of these that is only 6 that don't include the body tuners if you've already purchased them. I happen to have this set and the 2 body tuners because I've often kept the body tuners, for instance, at another office where I've worked, or in my car, or someplace where I need them handy, and they're better than no forks at all. So I have often found it useful to have an extra set of body tuners. So these forks are also called the Pythagorean tuning forks, and you might remember the Pythagorean theorem from geometry: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a lot of the work with the tuning forks is mathematically based. It's based on sets of 8 or 6, and in this set it's based on an octave, which we have on our piano, if I can reach it. 8, remember, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So those 8 notes are an octave. And so these forks also create an octave. And these are great for relaxation and to reproportion your body through cellular memory based on the natural ratios of the tuning forks. So our body has different proportions of relationships of vibrations from one part of the body to another. And part of what these forks do is help get your body realigned so that you don't have one spot that's spinning too high of a frequency and another spot that's too low. There goes a flying dog hair. So that it will all be equal and in proportion to each other, so that you don't have one part of you that is in just great dysfunction while other parts of you are working well. It kind of rebalances the whole body based on the cellular memory of what your body wants to be. And this is an aspect of nearly all of the body work and energy work that I do. This idea of helping your body get back into the balance that it wants to be at. So these forks include a full octave, as I just showed you. They go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and they are great for centering your body and your mind. And they are also can be played together to create overtones that assist in relaxation and grounding and centering. And each interval relates to a different state of consciousness and a different and different body positions. So that's why I've used them with the chakras, because I feel like there are just levels of depth with the chakras in your energy field that correspond to body parts, and these forks are ideal for that. And I've also, again, as I said, used them for really traumatized animals as a way to kind of reach their system, get them in enough balance so that they can accept and welcome the body work they need to recover. So each interval between these forks affects your nervous system in a different way, and each part activates unique qualities of your nervous system. And these forks are interesting. The guy that developed the Biosonics company, John Beaulieu, and he still teaches classes and is available. He put himself, as I told you before, in a sensory deprivation chamber, which is a soundproof black room. And he was doing it at first just to relax because he had so much going on. But he ended up being fascinated by what he was discovering about his body while he was sitting in there. And he also was a trained musician, so he was tuned in immediately to the sounds of his nervous system. And he spent over 500 hours in the sensory deprivation chamber, which I think is pretty impressive over a 2-year period. A lot of people that are claustrophobic would think 2 minutes is too much for me. And it is a really weird experience to be in such blackness. So anyway, one day he brought 2 tuning forks with him into this chamber, and he tapped them together, and he immediately realized that the sounds of his nervous system aligned with the forks. Just like when I play a note on the piano, all of the notes around it, the strings in the back of the piano, all vibrate. And that's what makes piano music so beautiful, that vibration of the strings. And the same with guitar music, because when one string is vibrating to the note that you played on it, all the other strings are developing the over and undertones around that. So it creates a really rich sound, which is one reason we love piano and guitar music so much. I'm so sorry about the glare on my glasses. I can't really do anything about it. It's sunny today. What a shock. So playing these forks together really helped him feel like his nervous system was aligning when he was in that sensory deprivation chamber. And he realized that he could tune his body using the tuning forks, which led to his development of this particular and other sets of forks. So the benefits of these forks are similar to others, and I'll just show you them briefly here if I can pick them all up without disturbing my Corgi. It's a set of 8. They come in a nice packet so that they're easy to manage. And I've used these a lot with animals crossing the rainbow bridge as well. They're really beneficial for that. So the benefits described are relaxation, achieving an altered state of consciousness. You don't need to go to the drugstore for that anymore. And to reproportion your body's alignment. And also to get physical and psychic repatterning in your mind, body, and spirit. And that's what I was talking about when I worked with a particularly traumatized horse, for example. He was just like, he had been really traumatized by some people not handling him well. He wasn't like beaten, but he was very sensitive emotionally and just really traumatized. And really, months later, shivering in the corner of his little turnout. And the sound of the forks got his attention, and he was able to listen because of that idea of the psychic repatterning in your mind, body, and spirit. When he heard that sound, it started to shift things in his body in a very subtle way that he could accept, and then he was able to have us go on and do cranial work with him and some T-touch and some other things to help him get back to his normal feelings. So another benefit of this particular set of forks is to develop and refine your own sonic abilities. So I do not have perfect pitch, as does my mother. She has perfect pitch, and I am always a little flat. So part of using this series of forks in one of the ways they describe is that it can help your ear become a little more attuned to what is in tune and what is out of tune. So you can use these forks a variety of ways. You can tap one and then listen to it near your ear. Can you guys hear it? It's so hard to hear these. And really, I'd hold it up here, and you can feel your bones in your head vibrating to the sound of the fork. You can also use 2 of them, and I'm going to use the body tuner ones, the C and the G, and hold them on either side of your head. And that's a really pretty sound. I don't know if I can do it so you can hear it. The G is, can you hear that lower hum blending with the higher one? So you can do it that way, or you can actually tap them together. I don't know if you can hear the overtones coming out. It's almost like a chime in a church bell, you know, because of the frequencies traveling out on the waves of air and sound. So you can do it that way. You can tap them together. You can also, and this is how I use them with the chakras, tap them together and move them over the body. I'll try that with Tristan. He says, "You're so loud, Mom." And a cat in particular, well, even horses and dogs, I shouldn't say cats especially, but most animals are really sensitive to the sound vibrating through their body. and they'll realign, and they'll do things like he is now, putting his ears up. He's like, don't hit me with that. He is a good boy. He's just really interested in it. And I've seen cats kind of stretch out rabbits on the floor and align their bodies in a new way, kind of like they would after a chiropractic visit. You can also move them more quickly over the body, so you can do it slow, like this, or you can do it quick. And that kind of cleanses your aura and your energy field. And I like using them for clearing that way if you move them quickly. And they create really beautiful tones that are different depending on how fast you're moving them. And the person that developed these does say these are in fact musical instruments, and to use your creativity with them, you know, dance with them, make sounds that sound good to you when you're happy, and when you're sad, find sounds that elevate your mood. So let's just review some of this with the chakras. I have the C fork, which is the first one in this series. It's 256 hertz. And remember, the root chakra is your bottom chakra. It's like where your legs come together and where all of your sexual organs are. And that root chakra is concerned with survival and sensory feelings and your senses in general. And that is the sound of the C fork. And then just above that, at your sacrum, which is at the root of your spine, you have your feelings and your emotional awareness. And I use this D 288 hertz fork for that area. This is what it sounds like. And they're going to gradually go up the scale. And then the solar plexus, which is in the middle of your body here, or your pet in the middle of him, is the E, and that is at 328 hertz. Hear how the sounds are going up? If you remember your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And then moving up to, and the solar plexus is for your intellect and for your mental capacities. The F, which is at 3,413 hertz. This is a lot higher than the last one we had. That is for love and security. And of course, your heart chakra is in the middle of your body. And for your pet, it's up under his chest. See, a lot higher hertz, but yet it's only one note up on the piano. And then we come to the G, which is 384. And that is associated with your throat chakra, which is for, of course, communication, conceptual awareness, that sort of thing. Can you hear it? And I like to use these forks over the chakras that they correspond to help heal any tension, stiffness, things that are going on in those areas of the body. Moving up to the third eye, which is here. That's for understanding, intuition, and we have an A, and a lot of orchestras tuned to an A. And this one is 4,267 hertz. Hear how it's just a little higher than the last one. And then corresponding with the crown chakra, which is the top of your head, that's your connection to God, the divine, Mother Nature, the universe, whatever you want to call it. That is for enlightenment and spirituality. And as you know, my hair is purple because it's on my crown chakra, and it keeps me constantly connected to spirit in case I forget why I'm here and what my purpose is. Similar to monks and my dear friend Dr. Bernie Siegel shaving their heads to get rid of the hair, to keep them connected to spirit and spirituality and the divine. So for the crown chakra, we have the 480 hertz B, which is a really pretty sound, I think. And this one, I love to actually put it on the skull so that you can feel the vibrations throughout your head. This is really loosening my sinuses right now. And with the ragweed season, all of our sinuses need a little loosening. It actually feels the way it does when you're sleeping and you lay on one side and your sinuses are full, then you go to the other side and you feel it moving. That's kind of how my sinuses feel when I put that fork on the top of my skull. And then we have the 8th chakra, which humans don't have. We talked about this in dogs. It's right in this area, in horses and cats and all animals. And that's our connection to humans, according to Marguerite Coates, and corroborated by some other people that work in Reiki. And I certainly am really aware of it, and so are many people I know. So this 8th chakra, because we have 8 forks, conveniently corresponds with the C512, which is a very high frequency. And it feels really complete to have the 8, even though your chakras are only 7. These two C's are an octave apart. And the sounds really go well together. So let's just try this 8th chakra fork on my dog, Tristan. And I hardly can feel the vibrations in his body, but I can really hear the sound. And actually, I'm pretty aware of the sound vibrating in a fork I have in front of me that's not touching. It's sort of propped up here where I placed it down. So the way I can use these over the chakras, I start with the first 2 forks, which are the lower chakras. And I would use them down in the lower chakra area of the animal I'm working with. And I would strike them 3 or 4 times. And then I would take one of the forks and the next one, moving up the scale, and go to the next higher place on my dog. And then I would put down the lower one and pick up the next higher one, and move my way up through the chakras, letting the vibrations go through the energy field, and pick up the next higher one. And it's really kind of fascinating to me how the animals move their ears when we're doing this, to pick up the sounds. Sorry, Biss. And then we're moving up. Do I have the right one? Yep. See how he's kind of shifting his head and listening? And I don't know if you can notice a change in his breathing. He's taking deeper, slower breaths. And then this one's back over the 8th chakra. So as I go up, I strike, if I strike this one on this one, it makes a higher sound than vice versa. So it just depends on which fork you strike. See, that's a little lower, and that's a little higher. So that's how I use these forks with the chakras, and I have found them really useful. For working with animals in hospice when they're passing away, it's really important to work with the chakras when an animal's crossing the rainbow bridge. And I sometimes use just my pendulum for that, but sometimes I'll use these forks. If an animal has surgery or has been in chemo and they are not expected to cross the rainbow bridge, but they're in a grave, like dark night of the soul type crisis, I'll use these forks to try to raise their vibration, to give them the energy they need to come back from that situation where they're in a life or death situation. So they're really powerful. The sound is awesome just for dog, cats, and bunnies and horses, to help them calm down and to get them out. Like if they're in a state of extreme sympathetic nervous system where they're really stressed, the forks can help bring them back into their body from the outside in. So it really helps ground them and helps them focus in a way that you might not be able to with a nervous dog otherwise. So I find them super useful. And they call these the Solar Harmonic set. And again, if you have the body tuners, which are the C and the G, then you only need to buy 6 of these. So you get $50 off. Basically, the forks are $30 a piece, and the weighted ones are running in the 50-somethings. So that's how I use these forks. And this is the last set of forks that we're going to talk about tomorrow we'll finish up our series about the tuning forks with some talk about some of the other ramifications of using tuning forks and sound in healing with pets and people. And then we'll be moving on to the next part of our conversations with a Corgi. And again, we are holding a space that Irma can move out to sea, and doing a heart hug to send everyone in the path of Irma, you know, just peace and strength to get through this. So we take a deep breath and we make a circle and a quarter, visualizing calm energy for everyone that's been impacted by Irma so far and will be, and just still visualizing Irma cooling down and going out to sea so that she can live and give us her message, but we don't have to be in the path of her destruction to hear her. So thanks for joining us today. This has been Sally Morgan and Tristan Corgi for an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. And I'm going off to see a horse this morning, which is exciting. It's a place where my horse burgers lived for many years, so it's always a pleasant visit up there. And Tristan gets to play with his buddy, Simon the Valhund. Valhunds, as you perhaps know, are the ancient relative of the Corgi, and they do seem to have a pleasant camaraderie, these two. They really like each other. They lick each other's paws, and I have cute pictures of them together. And I think Simon enjoys showing Tristan around the farm, so he'll have a good time. So everyone have a great day. It is sunny and nice, the calm before the storm in the southeast apparently, and here in the northeast we're not having that problem yet. We're supposed to have thunderstorms later. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9:25. And I have to apologize for starting late these last couple of days. I've had these night meetings that don't get out till 9, which is not a good thing for me. It does not help me in the morning. I'm a person who likes to get up at 6 or 5:30, and these late meetings have been wearing me out. So, and also I'd like to remind people, if you're at all interested in signing up for my craniosacral therapy class for dogs to be held at Monkey's House at the end of the month, please check my website, my Facebook page. My website is www.sallymorganpt.com, and let me know if you're interested. At this point, our enrollment is quite low, so I am thinking of making a shift in that class because I really want to do something for Monkey's House and do a 1 or 2 day T-Touch class instead, because they do have several volunteers there who may be interested in doing that sort of work. So I'm holding that space that weekend to do something for Monkey's House. And if you have any interest in joining me for either class, do get in touch with me. And my email is sallymorganpt@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.